off this countdown, we have cryonics. I'm sure you all have heard of this because there's that urban legend out there that Walt Disney froze his head so that later on he could be revived. Well, companies are currently working on this so that when you do die, you can be brought back to life several years later. As of now, the technology to do so is not perfect yet. Plus, the technology to unfreeze people doesn't exist yet. They're taking it one step at a time. First, they are figuring out how to freeze people without killing them or damaging them, and then they will worry about the whole bringing back to life part later on. I'm sorry, but this is creepy. Like, the whole bringing people back from the dead should be illegal. Plus, who wants to be immortal anyways? I always wanted to be, but you know, the state of the world is crumbling, so maybe not. In our 9th spot today, we have the robot caregiver. By 2030, it's said that there will be a huge decline in personal support workers and professional caregivers in the US. So a team of Irish scientists are trying to solve this problem by creating robots to work in senior homes. The robot would roam the hallways and people can communicate with it by saying hey and then its name. So it's kind of like how you say hey Alexa to activate Amazon's Home Assistant. Also, did I trigger your Alexa? Let me know in the comments below. The robot then can help with whatever the person needs help with. Not only that, but it has an LED screen face so it can show you emotions. They tested this out in Knollwood Seniors Home with a robot named Stevie, just to see, you know, how the seniors would react to it. The next step is to get Stevie to do more complex commands, like take food door to door, or to help seniors when they're in distress. Now you might be like, oh, that's great, but hello, this is one step closer to robots replacing humans altogether. I mean, you don't have to pay robots. This also means that we're one step closer to a whole robot takeover. No thank you. In our 8th spot, we have the nanobots. Scientists are currently working on nanobots that could be injected into our bodies to help us. They believe that these tiny bots ranging from 0.1 to 10 micrometers could potentially seek out and destroy cancerous cells in our body. Or at least that's what they're hoping that they can do. Not only that, they said that they could be used to deliver medication to parts in our body, or can be used to monitor our bodies. In fact, futurists predict that within the next 10 years, our blood will be filled with these tiny little bots. Some even say that these bots will be used to transmit your thoughts into a wireless cloud. I don't know how the hell that would work. Like, we have our own personal iCloud from our brain, so we need to worry about people literally hacking into our brain as well? No thanks. Not only that, but these bots will also be used to monitor air quality and weather, so on. Meaning, these bots will be everywhere. We won't be able to see them, but they'll be in our food, water, bodies, urine, feces, everywhere. Would you trust millions of tiny small robots in your body? Personally, I'm not a fan, because whoever controls the nanobots controls everything. That just doesn't sit well with me. In our 7th spot, we have the voices in your head. Nowadays, there are ads everywhere. You look up vacuum cleaners once and then all of a sudden for weeks your ads on Facebook and Instagram are all related to damn vacuum cleaners. Well, companies are now taking it a step further. In the works are ads playing in grocery stores. A company called Holosonics has invented something called the audio spotlight system. Basically, they are tiny speakers that can be used for in-store advertising, but you have to be standing in the right place to hear it. It's not like a bunch of ads are playing all at once through the grocery store PA system. So as you're standing looking at a certain product, it will register that someone is there and a voice will begin to tell you all the reasons why you should buy this product. That sounds an awful lot like mind control to me. No thanks. Moving on, number 6, we have the killer drones. So right now you can go out and buy a small drone that can fly around and take pictures or videos, which is fine as long as you know how to fly it and you don't, crash it into people. But in the future, we are going to have to worry about killer drones. It's believed that more than 80,000 surveillance drones and almost 2,000 attack drones will be purchased around the world in the next 10 years. These drones will of course be far more advanced than the ones that we currently have. But imagine that, you get in an argument with your neighbor and next thing you know you hear this loud buzzing sound outside of your house. You go and check and there's a massive thing hovering in the air with an AK just attacking you. Before you can run back inside, it's firing shots and bam, you're dead. Now that was a little dramatic, but some scientists are against this and are like, why are people creating more devices and weapons that literally will do no good and only cause harm? We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the TV that watches you. This is a TV that will watch your every move. It will record the sounds you make and physical, emotional, and facial reactions to whatever it is that you're watching. It then stores this in this creepy little database and uses it to create ads that are geared specifically towards you. Again, no thank you. That's terrifying. Like, you won't have any privacy anymore. This has gone way too far. Just like, let us watch TV in peace. In our fourth spot, we have the cloning. Over the years, scientists have been working on cloning. I mean, they have successfully managed to clone animals. The next stop is cloning humans. In the 90s, scientists created this sheep named Dolly, all from cloning. It did take them 277 tries before Dolly was born, but they still managed to successfully do it. The only reason why scientists aren't cloning humans is because of the ethics behind it. Although some scientists in India claim that a woman did give birth to a baby through cloning. We just don't know if that's true or not. Anyways, it's believed that in the future scientists will perfect human cloning. I mean, I've seen Black Mirror, okay? I know how all of this goes down. So let's just stop right there before we have little evil minions of ourselves running around, causing havoc. In our third spot, we have the social credit system. This one is literally a Black Mirror episode. Basically, scientists are working on creating a system that records your social status. They will monitor your online presence, your financial wealth, and how social you are. The better this all is, then the better your score will be. People then can check these scores, like future employers, etc., and those with better scores will do better in society. Who said that this was a good idea? Like, I understand doing background checks on people, but social media is pretty fake already. This would just give people more of a reason to lie and pretend like their life is perfect. But turns out in China, this is already a thing. They are currently enrolling everyone into a national database and ranking every citizen. Like I said, this is literally like that one episode of Black Mirror, and if you've seen the show, then you know exactly which episode I'm talking about. Moving on at number 2, we have the RoboCops. Scientists are currently working on creating real-life RoboCops. These RoboCops would be used in dangerous situations where it's unsafe for human cops to enter. So the robot would go in first, scope out the place, and then the human cops would come in after. I mean, already Boston Dynamics created a robot dog, and that thing can open doors on its own and search rooms looking for perpetrators. Maybe the next step is having a full-on robot police force team. Again, this could go wrong for a number of reasons. All we need is for the robots to be hacked or go haywire and start shooting and killing innocent citizens. This is literally the storyline for a horror film about a robot uprising wiping out the entire population. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the intimate robot buddy. So, apparently, companies are working on robots that are ultra realistic that will then be used for pleasure. That's right, in the future humans will be getting it on with robot humans. These robots will make it feel like you're doing it with the real thing, if you catch my drift. Not only that, but it will be able to move and bend in a bunch of positions, and it will cater to not only your physical needs, but your emotional needs too. So you can talk to your robot after and cuddle, you get it. Now, this is not only weird, but it's also, it's scary, not gonna lie. First off, imagine if you're getting it on and then someone hacks the robot. Who knows what the hacker could do? You're alone, you're naked, just saying. A lot of things could go wrong there. Or, what if the robot malfunctions during it all? Okay, that would be a painful outcome. Or, if all of a sudden the robot was like, I don't like being whipped or choked, and then comes after you. I'm just saying, this could go very, very wrong. Also, they would totally replace human affection, or people would become desensitized. So, it's not gonna end well. Let's just stop. Stop right there.
Coming in number 10, we have Elon Musk's brain chips. So Elon has a plan for everyone. He has a plan for the future. A future where you don't need to use your pesky arms anymore because all technology will be controlled by a chip in your brain. Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. Someone to drill a hole into my skull so I can control my toaster with my thoughts. I mean, I'm sure that there will be people lining up to get this implanted into their head, but you won't catch me getting the Generation 1 brain chip. The last thing you want is to have it installed and then learn that one of the side effects is that you now have an urge to make out with your blender. Coming in at number 9, we have hyperspeed travel. Now, I'm not talking about some Star Wars stuff where we're going to be blasting off into hyperspeed through to other planets. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm leaning towards is how we already have started making some crazy high-speed travel with things like the Hyperloop. If you are unfamiliar with this is the brainchild of the already mentioned Elon Musk. He wanted to find a way to cut down on the traffic in LA, and while everyone was thinking that we should be taking to the skies, flying around like the Jetsons, he realized that that is not the answer. The answer is in fact underground, a tunnel that goes from one city to another and has some pretty amazing tech behind it. If I get any of this information wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure the Hyperloop works with two things: a vacuum airtight tunnel and magnetic propulsion. You have magnets pushing against each other to push an object forward. This allows it to create motion without friction, which allows it to move faster, and they reduce the wind resistance by taking the air out of the tunnel, and then things move even faster. So that's what we have now. What will we have in the future? Maybe you could do a trip to New York in like 20 minutes. Coming in at number 8, we have work in VR. Virtual reality is really starting to hit the mark where people are getting blown away. We have games like Half-Life Alyx right now that are really pushing what the technology can do and show the world what the future of VR might be. So it's only a matter of time before people are straight up living in VR for their work. Think about it. You can get a job playing an NPC in a video game that you love, and that's where you spend all of your time. Think about it. MMOs like World of Warcraft are great, but imagine if every NPC in the world was played by a real person. Imagine if a company hired people to play NPCs in a game, so the player's interaction felt real, and you could have a unique quest that a person dreamt up on the spot. That'd be one of the most insane lives that you could ever come across. But that means it would be some people's job to get killed all day long. Alright, coming in at number 7, we have VR sports. We are already starting to see some esports come in and take a big chunk of the sport viewing market. Did you know that more people watch the League of Legends final than the MLB final and the NHL final combined? We are going to see a huge insurgence of competitive gaming into the fray in the near future, and VR tech is also becoming better. We might get to the point where there are new sports in VR. Think about it. You get transported into a game and you play with your full body, running around, jumping on things like you're in Ready Player One. You could straight up have a game where you're a wizard and you have wizard battles in the game. The next LeBron James could be some dude who knows how to cast the best fireball. Coming in at number 6, we have terraforming tech. As we start dipping deeper and deeper into space, we are eventually going to start building life on other planets. We are going to get that Mars colony going. Anyone want to be on the first rocket to head over to the red planet? Yeah, me neither. Now the scary part about this isn't so much the idea of having planets with colonies on them, but it's more the idea that you could be born on another planet. You could be a little Mars kid that thinks the whole world is supposed to be dead and red all the time. You can't go anywhere without a spacesuit, and there would be a whole bunch of new diseases waiting for you to ruin your day on these new worlds. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my chances on the one we have over here with the air and the food and the people and the millions of miles closer to the life-giving sun. That's what I like a lot.
In our number 5 spot today, we have virtual reality. Okay, another piece of technology that isn't new, but it is definitely more widespread now, and that is virtual reality. It's a super fun piece of technology, or it can be absolutely terrifying, and people are legitimately worried about it. People have raised concerns over how this sort of technology might affect our brains, more specifically our memories. There are worries that younger people using these sorts of technologies might end up creating these sort of false memories under the influence of virtual reality. This, however, is something that does need a lot more study to confirm if these sort of effects really do exist and if they are happening, and if so, whether they outweigh the benefits. In our number 4 spot today, we have artificial superintelligence. We talked about autonomous AI, but this is something pretty different. Stephen Hawking once said that artificial superintelligence could be our worst mistake in history. As humans, we have been able to dominate this world because of our intelligence, so introducing something that is far smarter and a lot faster than us would mean that we are no longer at the top. We'd kind of just be at the mercy of whatever this superintelligence wanted to do, and as of right now, it's not clear that we could create a friendly enough version to safely be able to do this. Unless we are able to be sure that this wouldn't happen, it remains an idea that has a lot of people pretty freaked out. In our number 3 spot today, we have nanotechnology. I'll be honest with you guys, this is a technology that I have an extremely basic understanding of because it is a technology for people who are way smarter than me. Technology buffs have been clear, however, that weaponized or just absolutely botched molecular assembling nanotechnology is one of the biggest threats to face when it comes to technological advancements. The threat comes from two places. One is unchecked self-replication and the other is exponential growth. If someone decided to use this kind of technology to do evil, or if it even simply fell into the wrong hands, this kind of nanotechnology could lead to the creation of microscopic machines that consume all of our critical resources at an insanely quick pace while also replicating itself at the same time. It's a bit of a complicated idea, but with how fast technology changes and advances, there are some people who are worried about this kind of technology entering the world. In our number 2 spot today, we have data trafficking. This point is mostly about how our technology in some areas has outpaced the regulations behind it. Similar to the discussion about drones, data trafficking is another one of those things that people have just used to their advantage, not worrying about the detriment it might bring to others. What I mean when I say data trafficking is the sharing of other people's data without their control or their awareness. Throughout the history of the internet, there's been a countless amount of rules and regulations that have been introduced because, of course, when the internet was born, no one was prepared for exactly what was to come. This became abundantly clear with the creation of social media as well. Many people claim that data trafficking is something that not only undermines people's personal liberty, but maybe even democracy itself. In our number 1 spot today, we have cryptocurrency. Okay, this is one thing that I'll admit. It has the power and potential to be great, but it could also be pretty detrimental to our world as well. Before you crypto fanatics totally freak out, hear me out. Right now, cryptocurrency is largely inaccessible. This means that it's mostly being used to make rich people richer, while other people end up poorer. That could change, but that's just where things are right now. The positive side with crypto, however, is the underlying technology that allows it, blockchain. This technology is one that could be and really is quite transformative. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have drones. Drones aren't a new piece of technology, but they are most definitely becoming more widespread. In fact, there have been surveys conducted that suggest that drones are actually the piece of technology that is up and coming that the general public fears the most. Part of this, or really a lot of this, is due to the fact that since this technology evolved so quickly, the laws and regulations surrounding them haven't exactly had the time to catch up. Drones can be super useful and are a brilliant piece of technology when used responsibly, but considering how the Federal Aviation Administration regulations don't really directly address residential areas, this creates a problem for those who don't know about the drone or about the user's intention. Sometimes when someone just wants to fly their drone and enjoys this piece of technology, it can make others feel like they're being spied on. In our number 9 spot today, we have pathogens. I am talking specifically about those that are weaponized. Back in 2005, Ray Kurzweil and Bill Joy noted that publishing the genomes of deadly viruses where the entire world could see would be the perfect setup for destruction, and it's possible that they might have been right. Like with anything, there is always the possibility that some person or group will take this knowledge and use it to their advantage to do something horrible, and the same goes for these viral recipes. There is also the possibility of accidental leaks while people are researching. One positive thing of these genomes explanations is that people can study these viruses, they can get to know them, and hopefully also learn their countermeasures, but in doing so, this sometimes creates an even more deadly version, and this could wreak an unbelievable amount of havoc on the world. Whether accidental or purposefully being weaponized, these viruses could change the world as we know it. In our number 8 spot today, we have self-driving cars. The issue isn't with the self-drive per se. I mean, there are plenty of reasons why this step makes sense, why it could be exponentially helpful, and why there are people who are clearly on board with the idea, but there are also some things that are rightfully a major cause for concern. One of the most debated and truly one of the biggest questions surrounding this is an ethical one, like, will a self-driving car prioritize its driver or passenger or operator, whatever you want to call them, over other road users, and not just over other road users, but at the expense of other road users. Also, what happens when the car is left with a decision to either collide with one person or another? A car couldn't take into account any other sort of extenuating circumstances like a human would. In our number 7 spot today, we have autonomous AI. Okay, so there's a Harvard professor named Nick Bostrom, and he devised this thought experiment that really does show us the dangers of this sort of super intelligence. So basically, he made this hypothetical scenario where a paperclip company, all the huge corporations that are dedicated to just making paper clips, if they made some sort of AI robot thing that is tasked with the one single goal of creating as many paper clips for the company, in theory, this is amazing. There's so many paper clips, we don't know what to do with them. Paperclip stocks are higher than they've ever been, and this robot has put that little guy on the computer screen straight out of business. But now, something has happened. This robot, which only knows paper clips and only knows it's supposed to create as many as possible, obviously takes this job very seriously, and it's a robot, so it doesn't know about everything else in the world. So this robot, in order to complete its mission, starts to take other resources, such as those we need to survive, in order to create these paper clips because it doesn't know anything else. In doing this and fulfilling its paperclip destiny, it wipes out humanity in the process. Of course, this is an extreme hypothetical, but it's definitely something to think about. This is just one hypothetical scenario out of many that could potentially arise. In our number 6 spot today, we have automation. Okay, it's no secret that robots have been putting people out of work. I mean, it's something we've seen for years, and as technology advances, there are jobs that were once done by humans that are now being done by Siri. Bad example, but you get what I mean. It is said that this trend, however, of robots doing human jobs is only on the rise. As an example, something we just talked about, self-driving cars, it is said that this new piece of technology will soon put 5 million Americans out of jobs. That's a lot. I mean, if taxi companies or Uber can somehow find a way to remove the middleman, you know they would in order to rake in more cash for themselves. This issue isn't just with this, however. It is said that by 2030, nearly 70 million people could lose their jobs due to automation. Is it efficient? Yes. Is it potentially very harmful? Also yes.
Coming in at number 5, we have robot partners. Dating is hard. You gotta talk to someone and yeah, that's pretty much the worst part. No, it can be really hard to meet someone who you have a good vibe with, who you think is attractive, and they have great taste in memes. So I understand when people are so desperate to meet someone, because even though the dating world can be trash, people still find it worthwhile to push through and find someone they genuinely like and want to be with for the rest of their life. Well, in the future, if you have enough money, you might not need to wait to meet that special person. You might be able to just go online and build the partner of your dreams, and you won't even be able to tell the difference. Other than them being strangely obedient, this spouse would be indistinguishable from a real person, and some massive company would be profiting off of your need for love, which is already happening with dating apps, so that's not a huge shock. Coming in at number 4 is weaponry. You know what the world looked like before the nuke, before the tank, before the gun? Well, it wasn't exactly safer, but it was a little bit harder to kill people on a large scale in a matter of seconds. Now we can only imagine what's on the horizon when it comes to weapons of mass destruction. What could be the next nuke? Will it be something that destroys us in a physical way, or will it be something that attacks us spiritually or psychologically? Will it be some sort of app that makes you go crazy from looking at it, like the monster in Bird Box? Coming in at number 3, we have time travel. You know what? I like the flow of time the way that it is. I like things moving forward, and even though there have been a ton of horrible things that have happened, we are still here. There hasn't been a series of chain events that have happened to end humanity. Now, if someone got their hands on a time machine, even though they thought they were doing something good, the chain reaction could ruin everything and bring forth the end of days. Like if you go back in time and kill Hitler, that is the most classic move that everyone says they would do if they got a time machine. Well, what if you kill him and then things only got worse? What if the person that took his place made some tactical decisions to help Germany win the war, and then the whole world looks like a way worse place? So time travel might look like something cool, but in the long run it could screw everything up. Coming in at number 2, we have artificial intelligence. This is one that everyone has been scared of since the movie Terminator came out. Robots or programs that can think for themselves. Now, people always think that once we get there, it's only a matter of time before this thing rises up and tries to kill us. I have to say that I am not one of those people. We have no idea what this thing would want because it would be way smarter than we could possibly conceive. So its motivations would be beyond our own comprehension. That being said, it might want to kill us, so we should be very afraid. Coming in at number 1, we have genetics. Being sick is lame. No one likes getting cold. In fact, no one wants to even be short. But imagine a future where you don't have to worry about any of those things, where your genes can be reorganized to make perfect people who are super hot and have rock hard abs that never go away no matter how much junk you eat. Well, that might not be that far away. We already have gene manipulation tech like CRISPR, which allows people to rework their genetic code to become healthier and happier people. Now this sounds amazing, but what might end up happening is this will become an elitist technology. Only rich and powerful people will have the money to have super babies, and everyone who can't afford it will be sick and helpless. That doesn't sound like a very bright future. A future where rich snobs are now not only more wealthy than the poor, but they're also genetically engineered to be better.